Hello everyone, this is Andrew AJT62 back for part 2 of the Melee tier list, where we will talk about at least Falco, maybe some more characters as well, going down the list. I'm not sure if I should rename this series to Melee tier list in depth, but I might. It depends. That would be something nice to add to the title, but at the same time, with YouTube titles, you kind of want to keep them relatively short, because if you have a very long title, it'll get cut off on some in some formats. Like if you see it in the related videos, you might not be able to see the full title, and I wouldn't want that to happen. So let me know what you think. But overall, the feedback for the last video was very positive. And I did get a lot of interesting responses about my tier list, which I appreciate. And of course, people actually were pretty respectful. You don't have to be too respectful. Like some people were like a little bit too much. Like, Andrew, great video, I love you, but I just have this slight disagreement on one area. Like, you don't have to be super polite like that. I was just really only referring to, like, don't be like like I said, Pikachu should be higher, asshole. That's really the only thing I'm trying to avoid on these discussions. But you don't have to be super polite. But if you want to be, you can. I don't mind at all. And I also do want to clarify one thing I said in the previous video, that for at one point in the previous video, I said, like, please only comment about Fox in this one, and then I immediately went back on that in the same video, so I will go back on that here again. Feel free to comment about any part of this list. If you think DK should be higher, or if you think Ness is too high, and even if I don't talk about those characters in this video, please feel free to mention them in here. I mean, even though I will cover them in future videos, you can feel free. And who knows, maybe I don't see this happening, but maybe if you do have a good point or something, or explain your point well, I might even change this list throughout the series, so we'll see. That might be interesting. So anyway, one thing, and people complain that I have a lot of backstory and introduction in my videos. That's just kind of my style. Like, I'll talk for different things for a long time. I like to be pretty elaborate and really kind of explain my points in depth, which I guess is the whole point of this series. Like, yeah, I can make a video that's 2 minutes long talking about why I think Falco's number 2, but if I did that, I really wouldn't be satisfied with it, because I feel like I want to explain my points fully and not leave any questions with the audience as to why I think the way I do. And this is really something that I mean, maybe you think I'm bad at it, but at least I think, and I'm sure a lot of other people have thought as well, based on the feedback from my videos over the years, is that they do like these my viewers do like the formats of longer videos and where I explain things more fully, rather than, other channels are great at making 2-3 minute videos, and their videos probably wouldn't be as good if they were longer. But I think mine are better suited as longer videos and more entertainment for you guys if you do find me entertaining. So either way, let's get started with this video after 3 minutes. So before we talk about Falco, one thing I do want to mention is an important part of my background that will actually be pretty relevant to talking about Falco, and a challenge that I'm going to have talking about Falco. So from a lot of my time hours spent playing Melee have actually been just by myself. Before netplay was a thing, before I really started going to tournaments very consistently, and this was time from kind of from when I was a casual player from 2001 to 2008, and then when I started getting into competitive from 2009 to 2012. A lot of the time I spent playing Melee was just one player mode, training mode, by myself, just messing around with all the different characters in the game, just learning different characters, learning what they can do, learning their tech and techniques and strategy and gameplay of them. Even though I didn't really have anyone else to play against, as sad as that sounds, I would just get home from school, I'd play Melee, I'd play RuneScape, all the fun stuff, or I'd play both at the same time. And so the good, part, it's kind of actually similar to Mewtwo. Mewtwo was known to have done that for a long time, and he did things like writing down and testing frame data, going farther than I really went. But I did try to learn most of the characters in the cast, so that's part of the reason why I feel inclined to make this video, because, again, not trying to, prop myself up or anything, but I do know how to play the majority of the characters you're seeing on screen, at least to a certain level. There are some people, like a Mario main would know a lot more about Mario than I would, but I do know a decent amount of Mario. I've, just from playing so many different characters, I have actually practiced Mario's chain grabs. I know a little bit of his tech. I'm pretty good at the upbeat wall jump, and that's just one character out of many that I do have an understanding of. That other people who play melee, there's some people who play melee. For example, V-Wins. He's a Peach player from Canada. I have never seen him play any other character than Peach. Whereas me, if you play me in friendlies, I'm probably going to be picking some weird character. I'll be playing Falcon. I'll be playing Young Link. I'll be playing Doc. I'll be playing Puff. I play Sheik a lot, as she is my main, but I do also play a lot of these other characters. And one of my strongest characters, Ice Climbers, I actually rarely play in friendlies, even though I do find them fun to play, but just because I have the most fun in melee playing multiple characters, not at the same time, like literally, but in the same day, in the same friendly session. I switch characters, every few matches. It's a very common thing. Anyone who plays me a lot will tell you that. So I do have an understanding of most of these characters. The really only characters that I don't have a great understanding of is Samus. I really don't find Samus fun to play. I do find it fun to play against Samus, but really not fun to play Samus. Luigi, I never really enjoyed playing as, because his wave dash timing is a little different than Ice Climbers because he has an extra frame of jump squat. He's in the air of the 5th frame when you press jump, and Ice Climbers will be in the air of the 4th frame after you press jump, because Ice Climbers have a frame 3 jump squat, and Luigi has a frame 4. And a jump squat is essentially when you press jump, your character isn't in the air right away. It's very noticeable with a character like with Bowser or Ganon. It just takes them a little bit longer to jump, and actually even Falco as well, even a high tier. And what that means is that their wave dash timing is different, because since it takes them longer to jump, it takes them a little bit longer before you can actually input the air dodge to wave dash. So that kind of just annoyed me with Luigi, because I wanted to wave dash like Ice Climbers with him, but you can't. You have to time it a little different. But it's really just a mental thing, because Marth also has a frame 4, jump squat, and I could wave dash perfectly with Marth, no problems. So I'm sure if I played Luigi now, I wouldn't have any issue with it. But I never really found much interest in playing Luigi, and I also don't like how his aerial mobility is quite poor. That's just kind of a thing that bugs me, even though I play Ice Climbers, which have the same problem, really. Yoshi, I really don't like playing a whole lot. The thing where you can't jump out of shield, it's made it kind of difficult for me to learn Yoshi. Maybe I will sometime in the future. DK, I really don't have much experience playing as. I did practice a few things with him. I learned like his combos on fast fallers, which are pretty much his main thing that's cool about DK, but otherwise I haven't played a whole lot of DK. Who else really? Ness, I was actually in 2013, I was actually very interested in playing Ness, and I played a lot of Ness, just for fun. Like, for example, I have a video on a Peach tech on how to punish Puff off rests, and I will probably never be a Peach main, or, I will probably never use Peach in tournament in a, very serious setting, but I love playing Peach. I play Peach all the time. That's just an example of how I play so many different characters. But other than Samus, Luigi, and Yoshi, and DK, I really do have a decent amount of experience with all these other characters. But of the top 8 characters, Fox, Falco, Sheik, Marth, Jigglypuff, Peach, Ice Climbers, and Falcon, the one I actually have the least experience with is Falco, and really the reason is because I've just always liked Fox better. I like how he jumps a lot faster. I've liked his shine better. His playstyle seems to suit mine a lot better. But all the other top 8 characters, I'm not going to list them again, but I do actually have quite a bit of, at least a little bit of experience playing with both of them, and a lot of experience playing with Sheik and Ice Climbers. But nevertheless, I do think Falco is the second best character in the game. So why do I think Falco is second best? So my reasonings are probably not going to be as strong as they could be with other characters if I put them as number 2, but if I did that, it wouldn't be honest if I put Sheik as number 2 or Martha number 2, because I do believe Falco is stronger than those characters, just a bit. Like I said, they're all in the S tier, they're all extremely good characters, but Falco has a few things that make him particularly good, and I think Falco players actually don't abuse them as much as they could. Lasers are an extremely good projectile. I think they're probably the best in the game. You could make a pretty good argument that Sheik needles are better, and you might even be able to convince me of that. And you could say I'm biased, but I'm really not, because I'm still saying Falco's lasers are better than Sheik needles, and Falco is one of my worst characters, or definitely the worst character out of the top 8, and Sheik is my best. So his lasers, you can power shield them, and that's something people will say immediately when you say Falco's lasers are really good. But you can't always power shield lasers. If you're trying to land or trying to jump, you might be in a position where you can't power shield. The timings can be different depending on the height of the laser and what you're doing at the time. It's very different timings when you're doing a move and getting hit by a laser. Are you ducking? Are you running? And some characters have a harder time power shielding than others. For example, ice climbers actually have a pretty difficult time power shielding, and sometimes it's almost impossible because Nana can get in the way. And if Nana gets hit by the laser before Popo gets hit by it, then you're not going to power shield because Nana's already gotten hit by it. So that's just one example. And people can't power shield 100% consistent. It's not really a thing yet, and maybe it will be in the future, but like I said, there's situations where you can't always do it. But that's just one of the many reasons Falco is quite good. His down air is one of the better moves in the game, and first of all, it's one of the only true spikes in the game. If you don't know the difference between a spike and a meteor, I'll explain that pretty quickly. A spike is what you'd expect. It hits the opponent downward, and there's really nothing they can do about it other than DI it out more to get hit less far down, although at that point you're going farther off stage as well. But you pretty much have to wait for the hit stun and to jump and recover, which oftentimes you'll just die before the hit stun wears off. Sometimes like floatier characters, especially at lower percents, can, like, for example, if Jigglypuff gets down aired by Falco at like 25%, she's not going to die because she's got a bunch of jumps and it's really not going to send her that far. But a character like Fox, if he gets hit by a down air at like 80, he's probably going to die. He could survive, it depends on how high up he is. But it is one of the only true spikes in the game. A meteor smash is something that many characters have. For example, Young Link's down tilt, Falcon's down air, Ganon's down air. What are some others? Ice Climber's forward air can be a meteor smash. There are quite a few of them actually. Yoshi's forward air is another good example. And with a meteor smash, after the 8th frame of hit stun, you can jump out of the hit stun. So you say you get hit by Yoshi's down air. A very, very brief second later, or not even a second, a very brief moment, you can actually jump out of the hit stun and just completely escape the move entirely. And in theory, that actually makes meteor smashes as edge guard moves almost useless, because you can actually meteor cancel something so quickly that you can punish the person for hitting you with it. So for example, if Jigglypuff gets hit by a Falcon downer, Jigglypuff can actually meteor cancel the downer, jump up and hit Falcon while he's still in the lag animation from the downer. This is not something you see really a lot, and one of my pet peeves of Melee is that people are pretty bad at meteor canceling. To meteor cancel, all you do is just wait until you actually get hit by the meteor, and then do one input of jumping or your up B, and you'll meteor cancel. You can't do it right away, and you can't mash meteor canceling. If you mash, you'll just die. There's a penalty for mashing that the game has. So all you do is you wait until you're clearly falling from the meteor, and then you jump or up B, and you'll get it 100% of the time. Really, the only time that I myself will ever miss a meteor cancel is if I have already tried to jump for a different reason, and I'm still in that 20 frame penalty that the game has. I'm pretty sure it's 20 frames. But yeah, just wait a little moment after you get hit and jump, and you will survive. So Falco doesn't have that problem because his is a true spike, just as Marth's down air is. Funny thing to note is that actually Fox's down air is a true spike, but it's set knockback, although it does have some pretty good uses for edge guarding, kind of from the ledge or on stage. Another reason that I think Falco is so good is actually, this might seem like a weird reason, but his recovery is somewhat underrated. While his recovery is pretty similar to Fox in a certain way that it's a double-edged sword, he can get gimped pretty hardcore. If you get one read on his side B or up B, he'll die, and if he's forced to up B from kind of below the ledge height, he's pretty much dead if the opponent executes correctly. But one thing that he does have is that he can recover quite fast, and the main reason for this is side B, and side B is much better in every way than Fox's side B, other than the fact that it's much shorter, or not, it's fairly significantly shorter, but it's much faster than Fox's, at least by a few frames, and this can actually let Falco escape gimp setups quite often, sometimes even more than Fox can. And so he can still get gimped if you get a read on how he recovers with side B or up B or air dodge, but he can make it back to the stage quite quick, and as with Fox, he does very well in Dragon Ball Z scenarios where two people get hit and both players are flown off stage and they have to recover quickly to regain stage position. And stage position is a thing that Falco can control extremely well with the lasers, and also his downer is a very good combo move. It's a very good pressure move. It's not completely perfect. If you mistime a downer, so if you're playing Falco and you're gonna downer someone's shield, you want to actually do your downer as late as possible, so you're just hitting them with the downer right before you land, and then you actually have a pretty nice. I'm not sure if it's really a frame advantage, but they're in a situation where they can't safely grab you, because if they try to do that, your shine will actually come out first. And you can also double shine. You can shine grab, which is a very powerful option because you're hitting them with something, so they have to shield it, and then if you shield it, you grab them. So it's not completely perfect, but it's a pretty good concept, and Fox can do the same thing as well. And as with Fox, Falco is a clone of Fox, but clones in Melee are still quite different, at least for the most part. Falco has a pretty good shield. He has a pretty good grab range. Another thing Falco has over Fox is that he's much heavier than Fox, at least a little bit. He's not a heavy character in general. Falco is still below average in terms of weight, but Fox is very light, so Falco being a little bit closer to midweight gives him a lot of advantages actually over Fox. For example, his crouch cancel goes to much higher percents. Since Fox is light, he really can't crouch cancel past 40%, other than for very weak moves, whereas Falco can. And even though his shine does not have as much range as Fox's, it's still very good, and you can crouch cancel shine. And even hitting Falco in general at low percents can be risky, even if he's not crouch canceling, because he won't get knocked down by most moves. For example, if you hit him with a Chic Nair or a Peach back air, he's not going to get knocked down into a position where he has to tech, and he'll just flinch very briefly and will be able to act quickly. And sometimes hitting him at low percents is not even safe. And it also makes him harder to gimp because he's not going to go as far from back throws or forward throws off stage, whereas Fox would go a little bit farther, so it would be harder for Fox to recover, whereas sometimes Falco, combined with his weight and not going quite as far and his faster recovery moves, he can avoid getting gimped where Fox might actually get gimped. He also is very good at edge guarding, not only because of downer, but because of lasers. For example, when Foxes try to recover, if Fox does his up B and he starts charging it anywhere above ledge height, Falco can shoot him with a laser and force him to up B from lower, and from lower it's very easy for Falco to cover the up B with a down air. So it's kind of just a really great setup that you'll see Falcos do very often. His back air is extremely good. It is better than Fox's for a variety of reasons. Fox's can be more versatile because of his speed, but Falco's has a few advantages where his back air has more range than Fox's, which is just longer, which is very useful, and it also does something that Fox's does not. It auto cancels off a short hop. So if you back air with a short hop with Falco, the back air animation will be over or close to being over, or will be close to over by the time you land, so you actually have no landing lag from that back air, and you don't even need to L cancel it. And this is something we'll talk about with Chic as well, with her forward air, when we talk about Chic. But that's a very useful tool with Falco. It's a great zoning tool, and it's sort of underrated. Falco's smash attacks are also pretty good. His up smash is not a great kill move, other than it's okay versus floaties, but it has some underrated uses. It's a pretty decent combo move, and credit to Mango for actually using Falco's up smash a lot more than other Falco players, and he really makes use of it for combos and heavy punishes in a way that other Falcos don't. His down smash is very good. It's very powerful. You can tech it though, which is its one flaw, but if they tech it, it's not necessarily too bad. Falco can cover the tech options if he reacts to that. Another thing with Falco is his combo game, as I began to mention earlier, is fairly strong. You can DI out of his combos if you hold away, but at low percents he can really at low percents his combo game works best, especially versus Fox, for example, and that's very important because a low percent Fox is a lot scarier than a high percent Fox, because a low percent Fox can crouch cancel and punish you for unsafe hits, but with Falco it's harder to do that because Falco's shine really doesn't care what percent you're at, and his shine is also pretty good for floaties as well, because on stages with low ceilings you can actually kill off the top with it and have some reliable kill setups. So Okay, we'll talk about a few other things with Falco as well. His up tilt is very good. It's sort of similar to Fox's. It doesn't kill, but it's still a very good combo move. His backer we talked about already. His down tilt is something that is extremely underused, I think, by Falcos. It kills at lower percents than Marth's tipper up tilt. It combos, it's disjointed, it has so many great things. As with Fox, his dash attack is, it's very punishable, of course, but it's a good combo move. You could really almost look at Falco's moveset in a similar way to Fox's, where almost every move that he has is very useful. It's, a pretty good move. The frame data is good. Hitboxes are very nice, which not all characters have good hitboxes, and we'll talk about that more in the future. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why I think Falco is the best. His matchup chart, I think, is quite good. He doesn't do as well versus floaties as Fox does. To go over his matchups pretty briefly, as I said, I do think he loses slightly to Fox, but he has a great combo game, great edge guards, really strong ability to compete with Fox in not only the NTSC version, but again, this list is not about PAL, but in the PAL version, Falco is barely nerfed, and Fox is nerfed somewhat significantly. Falco's only change in the PAL version is that the second half of his down air, time-wise, sends the opponent away rather than down, which you think would be an awful thing, but really you can just time your down airs better, which is a thing you should be doing already. And even if you do get the second hit, chances are they're going to DI away, and they're going to go so far from that horizontal hit that it can actually be quite advantageous. And Falco does do a lot better versus Fox in the PAL version, and this is actually something Leffen complains about sometimes, although he's done well versus Mango's Fox in the PAL version, so I don't know. Leffen complains about a lot of stuff. Sheik, he definitely does okay against. Great combo game. I think that matchup is sort of even, and maybe I'll talk about that more when I talk about Sheik. But he can get tech chased and gamped really hard by Sheik. But at the same time, Falco can control the majority of the match and really just dictate the pace and keep Sheik kind of locked down for a very significant part of the match. One of my more controversial opinions is that I do think Falco has an advantage over Marth. I think that Marth has some real problems versus Falco because of, well, first of all, it's not a horrible matchup. I'm not saying it's a very bad matchup for Marth. I'm just saying I think Falco has a slight advantage. But by saying that, I'm also saying that Marth does fine. It's really not. It's pretty close to even. But the reasons why I give it to Falco is because his shield pressure is an extra level of great versus Marth, I guess, because Marth has very few really great out of shield options. He doesn't really have any fast ones. His aerials are, he does have a frame 3 forward air, but that's not really a great out of shield option. And also his jump squat is 4 frames, so it's a little bit slower than Fox's, for example. And his up B out of shield is very risky. So in general, Marth doesn't have great out of shield options versus Falco, and he also has a very small shield, which is prone to getting shield poked, especially from above. And Marth also has a very hard time killing Falco, and if Falco uses Smash GI correctly, and just automatic Smash GI correctly in general, he can escape many of Marth's combos, and I do think Falco's combo game is good enough versus Marth, and his edge guarding game is good enough versus Marth that can really give him a little bit of an edge. Versus floaties such as Peach, Jigglypuff, and Ice Climbers, I do think Falco does okay. He definitely doesn't do nearly as good versus Fox, and that's part of the reason why I give Fox the #1 spot, because Fox is so great versus Jigglypuff, Peach, and Ice Climbers, whereas Falco doesn't kill them quite as early, but he can use lasers to lock down those characters. Even versus Peach, people say, oh yeah, Peach can just float over the lasers, but that's not a great solution, because you can't float forever. You can only float for 3 seconds, and you have to land eventually, and floating is when Peach is floating, it's fairly obvious what she's trying to do in many situations. Jigglypuff, same sort of thing. Fox can kill Jigglypuff way earlier, but Falco can really control the match with lasers because you can't power shield in the air. So Jigglypuff is constantly jumping, and she can really get kind of bogged down by lasers. She can duck under them, but that doesn't really accomplish much if Falco's just going to keep shooting them. Versus Ice Climbers, I think Ice Climbers do okay versus Falco. I might give Falco a slight edge in that matchup, but he definitely does fine. You have to be a little bit more creative to kill Nana, though. Versus Falcon, I might even say Falco does better than Fox against Falcon. I really think it's a pretty tough matchup for Falcon, and I don't know, it's very difficult. Falco's, oh, this actually plays into one of Falco's greatest strengths. His tech roll is insanely far, it goes insanely far. So, for example, if Falcon down throws Falco and Falco techs away, his roll actually will go a lot farther than Fox's, or at least a pretty significant amount, especially compared to Falcon's. His Falcon's tech roll goes nowhere, which is why it's so easy for Sheik to tech chase him. But Falco's has the great defensive option of just tech rolling, and he also has a very similar tech and play shine to Fox's, other than the fact that his shine doesn't send you quite as far. Versus Pikachu, I think Falco does very well, and the rest of the cast, we won't get into it too much. I mean, of course, many of these characters, like the Marios or Young Link, can combo Falco extremely well, but Falco's lasers and his combo game do really help him out versus these characters. So that's really all I have to say versus Falco. I did say in this video that maybe we talk about more characters, but with these characters, there's so much to say that maybe it will end up being just one video per character for the top 4 at least. But as the list goes on, I don't think I'll have quite as much to say as like about Mario or Peach or Pikachu, for example. So I do think this is not going to be a 26-part series, and maybe I'll even talk about Sheik and Marth in one video. I'm not sure about that yet. But yeah, anyway, guys, let me know if you have any opinions. Let me know if I have any opinions that you disagree with, or if you have any opinions yourself about the entirety of this list. Any character, you can feel free to comment on their placing, and I'll be happy to read them, as long as you keep it mildly civil, but you don't have to be too polite as well, but you can if you want. So anyway, guys, again, let me know what you're thinking of the series, and yeah, hopefully part 3 will be out in a few days or so. And yeah, this was kind of a tough part to make because, again, I'm not a Falco master, and Falco is not one of my stronger characters, but there are a lot of things that I have learned from playing against him and playing a little bit of him more in recent years, that I can really see why his strengths can really shine if he's played by a good Falco player. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll be putting these in a playlist, so I'll link that in the description. And also one thing I forgot to mention, I did mention how Jigglypuff can meteor cancel Captain Falcon's down air into a rest, and I will link a video of that in the description, because that video is how I know of this. So thank you for Daniel Gomez, I think, who made that video. Thanks for showing that to the world. And yeah, so subscribe to me on Twitch down below and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys in part 3, where we talk about Sheik and maybe Marth. We'll see. But yeah, stay tuned.